Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you read from the title, yes, I was furloughed. Today is Saturday, March 21st, and I was told yesterday, so essentially I won't be going back to work until further notice. Now, very quickly, for those of you who don't know what furlough means, it's not being laid off. Furlough just means that I am being forced to take an unpaid vacation. That is kind of the gist of it. I'm still technically employed with the company. I can still receive my healthcare benefits and all of that. And normally you would have to pay for that out of pocket in order for you to still maintain those benefits. So if it's something that normally came out of your paycheck, when you're furloughed, you would have to pay for that out of pocket. And I'll get into a little bit more of that later on. I believe legally, or from what I've read, you can be furloughed for up to 1 year. Thing is, I'm also pregnant. So my original plan was actually to work through my pregnancy and then from there kind of reevaluate if I wanted to go back to work. I would eventually go back to work, but I did not know if I wanted to go back to work to my specific company because they were not going to offer any kind of maternity leave or anything like that. Sorry if I sound like I'm out of breath, but this belly is getting really big and it's getting harder to breathe. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to go back. Eventually go back to work, yes, but not necessarily back to the company that I was at. I had considered pretty much quitting once the baby got here. Well, with this furloughment and not knowing how long it's going to be, I'm just kind of mentally preparing myself to not go back at all. And the reason for that is because there's still about 3 months until my baby gets here and they completely furloughed me. Now there are some employees that are staying on and they will be getting paid half of their salary while doing all the work. And so I'm sure that the first thing they're going to do once business comes back, because I'm in the hospitality and restaurant industry, I worked for their corporate office. So once business starts coming back, the first thing they're going to do is make sure that those who are getting paid 50% go back up to 100%, right? And that's obviously going to take some time for them to get back on their feet, to be able to offer them 100%, and then eventually start bringing back the people they furloughed. I don't see that happening in the next 3 months. And that's just based off the sales that we've gotten. I was in the analysis department, so I saw how bad the numbers were. And the company is not a public company, but it's a pretty large private company. And even that, I feel like it's going to take a while for them to fully come back to where they were and being able to get everybody back that they furloughed, because it was a lot of people. So yeah, so that's kind of where my head is at. Just based on what I know, I don't expect to be going back. And if I do, it might be till after baby and after my maternity leave, if I choose to go back. But I am considered furloughed, and therefore I will not be getting paid till I start going back to work, whether it's there or somewhere else. And given that I am pregnant and I'll still have to have my maternity leave, which I wasn't going to get paid anyways for, I have no income for the foreseeable future. If you're new to my channel, hi everyone, my name is Lizbeth and I make videos that help you plan for a better financial future while living your best life today. So if that is something that interests you, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on new weekly videos. So with that being said, my company, this is my company. I can't speak for everybody's company who's furloughing people, but my company did offer to pay 2 additional weeks for me. So I'll still get my paycheck next Friday like I normally would because I worked these past 2 weeks. And on top of that, I should be receiving 1 additional check for a full 2 weeks. So essentially this will be 2 weeks of paid vacation and then the unpaid part will begin. So that was obviously very nice of them to at least be able to offer that. Another great thing that they did offer and that I'm very, very grateful for is to pay my health insurance. They said all benefits, but I'm not sure like if my flexible spending account counts as part of that, but they are going to pay for my insurance, my health insurance, through the month of June. Now, my baby is due July 3rd, and ideally, I would want her to come end of June. And if that happens and that works out, then I'll still have insurance through then. Because the plan was that after she was born, she would be put on her dad's insurance. So either way, that was already going to be taken care of that way. So I'm definitely grateful that I'll have insurance at least till the baby gets here, if the baby doesn't pass her due date. But even if I have to pay an additional month of health insurance in July, it's still way better than having to pay my insurance for April, May, June, and July. So that's definitely a big help. So I don't want anybody to feel bad for me at all. There's a lot of people who are in worse financial situations than I am, and a lot of them are my friends who are in the service industry. My mom works in a hotel and she's literally out of a job until they tell her to go back. And she's an hourly employee. So there are definitely a lot of people who were not prepared for anything like this. And although I wouldn't say necessarily I was prepared for this kind of a pandemic, I can definitely say that I'm in a way better place than a lot of people are. Obviously, the loss of income that's going to come from this, it's not going to allow me to add any additional money towards my baby fund. But the very fact that I'm pregnant meant that from the very beginning, I've been putting money aside for my baby fund. And it's been liquid money, so instead of putting it towards debt, I've been putting it in a savings account. I have a little bit over $6,000 set aside. My goal was that by the time the baby got here, I would have about $10,000 in that account. And obviously with everything going on and me being furloughed, I'm not going to be able to reach that $10,000 mark. But I have that, and that's definitely something that's allowed me to kind of stay calm in all of this because I have something to work with going forward. So I don't want anybody to feel bad for me whatsoever, especially because I will have at least 2 more paychecks. I'll have my insurance covered through hopefully when the baby gets here. I have a decent size emergency fund. And also my partner, thankfully, he works for the city. So he has an income coming in. He's still working. If anything, he's actually working more and has been working some overtime, and his income is pretty set. So we are not out of 2 jobs. We're only out of 1, which is mine, but at least he still has an income coming in. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. It's allowed me to kind of not freak out with everything going on, because at least I know that as far as our shelter, our food, and the baby, we are taken care of. With that being said, obviously there's going to be some changes to what I do to my budget, to how I'm kind of looking at this and what angle I'm going to take. Because even though I have those savings, these savings are supposed to essentially last me until the new year. So as opposed to the 10 grand lasting me from July through December, now it's probably going to have to last me from April through December, or even further if I can't seem to find a job, because more than likely there will be a recession following this. And we all know that with a recession comes less jobs available and therefore a little bit harder to get a job. In case I'm not able to find a job right away, I could potentially be looking at this emergency savings kind of lasting me way past December. So anything that I can save now or prepare for now to kind of make that emergency savings last longer, that's what I'm focusing on next. So if you're in a similar situation, or you're kind of thinking of, I'm furloughed, now what can I do? Because I'm a big believer in controlling what you can control and going from there, kind of laying out all the facts, laying out all your numbers. And once you know what you have to work with, sometimes it turns out that it's not as bad as it seemed, right? And that's kind of what I had to do, because everything kind of happened so fast. And so I had to look at everything that I had and kind of go from there. Now, given that I also plan 1 month in advance, so all of my bills for April are taken care of essentially with what I've made this month. But now it's kind of like, okay, what can I cut out so that any extra money from that budget can go towards savings? So that's my first thing. It's what's my bare bones budget? What are things that I cannot get around paying that I have to pay? What are things that I can cut out or decrease? For example, my grocery budget, right? I'm going to be home a lot more. I'm going to be able to cook at home more. So I can decrease that. And instead of going out to eat, I can use it towards groceries. Another thing is I normally put $100 towards my daughter's activity. Obviously, that's going to have to be put towards savings instead. The good thing is that I paid for her entire dance class through May, essentially. And given that they've been closed for a couple of weeks, their plan is to just add makeup classes and allow us to use them through the summer. So at least through the summer, if I spread them out correctly, she'll be able to attend class here and there all the way through summer. And then from there, I can kind of determine if it's worth adding her to another activity, or if we're going to have the money for it, or, whatever, because everything seems to be changing daily. So if I can put it off until July, or August, then we can kind of go from there. But for now, it's not a necessity. It's a like to have, and thankfully I've already paid for that through the summer. Another thing that I've been preparing for is the baby. Obviously the baby comes with some expenses, and I don't know if I'm going to get a baby shower now. I'm going to write down a list of things that I absolutely need for baby and things that I can go without for a little bit longer. That was kind of my original plan anyways. I didn't want to overbuy things or anything like that. Another great thing is that because I already had the gender reveal, I am way stocked up on diapers. Like, I don't need diapers. I'm pretty sure through her entire first 3 years. I think I stocked up pretty well. And so I'm not looking at increasing my groceries because of diapers. So that's definitely something that I don't have to worry about. I'll probably need wipes here and there because I only have about 2 boxes of wipes, but wipes are definitely less expensive than diapers themselves. Also, I do plan on breastfeeding, so hopefully, as long as everything works out fine, I'll be able to breastfeed and not have to worry about formula. That's the plan. I was able to do it with my daughter. I hope I'm able to do it with this daughter. Another thing I plan on doing is calling up my lenders, whether that be my auto loan lender, my credit card companies, all of them, and see what they have to offer for those affected by the coronavirus. I've heard that you do have to mention that specific term that you were affected or your income was affected by the coronavirus in order for them to kind of enact what they can do for you. So I plan on doing that and kind of seeing what it is they plan on doing. I don't want to do that with my utility companies because from what I've heard, they're just kind of waiving late fees and stuff like that. And I don't really need a higher water bill or a higher electricity bill if I'm able to pay it off every month. That's not really what I'm going to look at. What I'm going to look at is my auto loan. I know that during Harvey, because I'm in Houston, they were able to pretty much just give me a 2-month break or 3 months, I don't remember. And they would just tag it on to the end of my loan for no fee or anything like that. Obviously, the interest rate would still apply, but my auto loan is like a 3.14%. So that's a pretty good deal on saving that amount of money. My auto loan is like $500 a month. Even though I only have about a year left to pay it, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So that means that if next month they're able to waive, even if it's just 1 month, if they're able to waive the month and just add it to the end, then those $531 can go towards my savings because I already have it set aside to pay it, but it can go towards my savings instead and then be able to buy me another month if I'm not able to pay it down the road. I'm going to call them. I'm going to call my credit cards. The only credit card that I pay interest on is my credit union one, and it's only about an 9% interest rate. So it's a pretty low interest rate, but I heard that some credit card companies have been waiving interest rates. So if that means that all that I pay next month is going to go towards principal versus part of it being interest, then I'd rather do that. So I'm going to call them and see what they say. Of course, I don't know if you've heard, but the student loans interest rate is being waived, at least for the next 60 days. So what I can do is put my student loans on forbearance because it's not going to accrue any additional interest, and then be able to either save that money or put it towards something else. I'm going to look at every possible bill that I have and options that I have with it and see if it's going to be worth me not paying it right now and just, adding it to the end of the loan period or whatever, if it's going to be worth it. If it's going to cost me money to do it, then I'd rather not, especially because I can pay it right now. But just looking long-term wise, if I can save the money now, I'd rather put it in savings and have it down the road for when I absolutely need to. I do plan on doing more research on the student loan aspect of everything, and I want to put out a video that gives you kind of all of your options and what might be the best option for you and your situation. So be on the lookout for that. If you have any specific questions about that, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. And I'll try my best to do the research for you and put that out for you as soon as possible. And the last thing I plan on doing right now, which my partner and I had a budget meeting today, kind of go over the new normal, and that's going to be to try and live off of one income. Like I said, his income is pretty secure in terms of him not losing it anytime soon, or if at all. So we have that to fall back on, right? And even though our current bills are a little bit higher than his income would be, we're kind of looking at where we can cut, what we can do to kind of put money aside so that when we are forced to live off of one income, we have either the buffer in our savings to cover the difference until I go back to work after baby. But at least for the next possibly year or so, we can make it work. It was definitely a good thing that we did to just go over all the numbers, see where we stand, see if it's realistic or if I'm going to have to go back to work sooner or whatever. But looking at the long-term scenario, if I were to take off an entire year and not have income coming in, where do we stand? Can we make it work based on his income and the savings that we currently have? That was definitely a relief to know that if push comes to shove, we can survive. Obviously, we want that wiggle room, that extra income to be able to pay down debt, to be able to put something more towards savings. But at least it's definitely a relief to know that we could survive, that both ourselves, our home, our kids, they're going to be okay. They're going to have what they need, that our home will be taken care of. So I really recommend that if you are even thinking that you possibly could lose your job or your husband or wife could lose their job, that you review everything and start now to look at worst case scenarios to be as better prepared as you possibly can. And that'll also kind of help with you decreasing your spending now and being able to put that money aside, because you just never know. It's March 21st and we still don't know. So it's better to just kind of prepare yourself as best you can. And if everything stays the same, if nothing changes for you, if your job is pretty secure and you don't have to worry about it, then that's extra money you have in savings, either to leave as your emergency fund or to eventually just pay down additional debt, or maybe start investing in the stock market, because as they say, things are on sale right now there. So you could definitely go that route. But I think that if you have any possibility that you could potentially lose your job or that your job is at risk, either yours or your partner's or whatever, make sure that you start preparing now while you still have a job, if you do. And if you don't, then go back to what I'm planning on doing, which is reviewing my budget, cutting down what I can cut, making phone calls to who you can, even if it is your current providers. Can they decrease your internet bill? Can they decrease your cell phone bill? All that stuff. I literally just got a new car insurance policy to decrease mine. I just switched over to my boyfriend's plan because he gets a discount there. So I had already started to decrease my normal bills, and now it's just a matter of calling my lenders and seeing what they can do for us. And that's just to kind of create an extra buffer of savings for me, because the more I can keep in savings, the better I'll feel about the whole situation. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I said, I was literally furloughed yesterday. Maybe next week, everything is different again. I know another thing that a lot of people are looking into is like unemployment. The first thing I'm going to do is help my mom figure out unemployment, because she's the one that has no income coming in whatsoever. And at least I have 2 paychecks to look forward to. So I'm going to help her with that and see how it works. And then if I can or I'm able to, then maybe I'll try it too. But I don't know how it works. I've never ever had to apply for unemployment. So I don't exactly know how that works. Another thing is the government sending out checks. Obviously, that's been everywhere on the news. And I don't like to depend on anybody giving me money. So if it comes, great, fantastic. It'll go straight towards savings, and it'll definitely help create that buffer that I need. But I don't want to depend on unemployment or the government sending me any money. So that's kind of how I'm choosing to look at that. If it comes, great, it'll go towards savings. And if it doesn't, okay, I wasn't expecting it. That's where I stand with that. I'm sure that a lot of you are in a position where you need that money coming in. And, all I can say is, I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry that you're having to go through this. And if there's anything that I can do as far as information goes, whatever could possibly help you in any way, please let me know. I definitely have more time on my hands to create content for you and to help you the best I can and get through this time. If there's any information that you just don't want to go and look for, then let me know. I'll do the research, I'll put the information out for you, and at least that'll kind of help you make certain decisions. So that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to kind of share my story, tell you where I stand, what my plans are going forward. This could be completely different next week based on what we hear from the news, based on how it all just keeps unfolding. So I'll definitely try to make an updated video once I kind of have a better idea, once we all have a better idea of where we stand as a country. And in the meantime, feel free to leave me down some recommendations. I'm going to try to pump out as many videos as I can before baby and on my spare time now that I have extra time. So please let me know what I can do to help. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you found this helpful. And don't forget that I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, where I'll try to share more of daily stuff that I'm doing to kind of minimize spending and increase my savings. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I will talk to y'all next time. Take care, stay home, and wash your hands. Bye.